Hello everyone, and welcome to my Bold and Beautiful Today channel. Taylor's emotional blackmail, Ridge's bombshell, and Brooke's homecoming. Brooke Logan, Ridge Forrester, and Eric Forrester will return from Naples. It will be tough for her fiancé to end the engagement, though, thanks to Taylor Hayes. Let's discuss the upcoming developments in the CBS soap drama as you continue reading. The homecoming of Brooke Logan. First up is Brooke, who travels back to Los Angeles with Eric and Ridge from Naples. The blonde had a near-death experience and quite the journey. Brooke fell into the lake after he fell off Nick Marone's boat. She had stopped breathing by the time Ridge and another man managed to get her out. Fortunately, Ridge was able to take Brooke to the hospital after performing CPR. Ridge returns to the city. For starters, Ridge had to confront the reality of life without her. He once told Taylor that, despite his pledge to make things right for Brooke, Hope Logan will be overjoyed that her mother is okay, anyway. Hope will undoubtedly give Brooke an update on Liam Spencer. Brooke will fill her daughter in on Nick and Ridge in the meanwhile. Ridge Forrester's shocking revelation. According to Wednesday, August 13th spoilers for The Bold and the Beautiful, Ridge will need to contact Taylor again to clarify the situation. Although it appears that Ridge makes an effort, Taylor rejects it. In a weekly preview film, Ridge is seen lowering his head in disgust and defeat as Taylor explains the future to him. The emotional blackmail of Taylor Hayes. Taylor will inform him that Brooke does not have a future with Ridge. The woman then declines to remove her ring. I wouldn't be shocked if Taylor feigned a relapse of broken heart syndrome in order to keep Ridge around. But how is Ridge going to tell Brooke about this? This is how Ridge and Taylor are affected by homecoming. Ridge Forrester and Taylor Hayes will be impacted by Kelly Spencer's homecoming since she will be returning without Steffi Forrester. Sophia Parras will play Kelly again in a few new scenes at the Forrester estate during the week of August 11th to 15th. At that point, Kelly will cut off Taylor and Ridge's conversation so they may focus on their granddaughter. Fans of B&B will remember that when Steffi went out of town, she asked Liam Spencer if she could bring Kelly along. Kelly has been traveling with her mother and Hayes Finnegan since John Finnegan has also said how much he misses Steffi and the children. There may be several explanations, though, as Kelly will return home early. Kelly may be preparing for a return to school, or she may simply wish to spend more time with Liam following his medical experience. Of course, given Kelly's impending moments with Ridge and Taylor, there might be another plot-related explanation. Steffi isn't available for parent trapping because Jacqueline McInnes Wood is on maternity leave. Kelly could have to take the initiative now, even though Steffi would typically be there to support Taylor and Ridge's relationship and encourage them to get together. Once Kelly is back in the picture, it's easy to picture some grandparent trapping in its place. Kelly may express her happiness at the reunion of her grandmother and grandfather. Kelly might talk endlessly about the impending nuptials and her desire to be a flower girl. It would be a simple method to make Ridge feel even more guilty about his affections for Brooke Logan and force him to put off breaking up with Taylor. Kelly may have a part in Ridge delaying blowing up the family reunion because he will, in fact, stay with Taylor for a little longer. In any event, seeing Kelly is always a treat, so be sure to check back for any exciting news on her comeback. Eric Forrester, Ridge Forrester, and Brooke Logan touches down, returning from the crucible of Naples. This isn't merely a homecoming, it's the seismic prelude to an emotional cataclysm meticulously engineered by fate and human fallibility. For Brooke Logan, the journey back is a pilgrimage from the precipice of oblivion. Her near drowning after tumbling from Nick Marone's yacht wasn't just an accident, it was a chilling baptism, a visceral confrontation with mortality that stripped away pretense and laid bare the raw, terrified core beneath her resilient facade. The Mediterranean's icy embrace had stolen her breath, her lifeless form a horrifying tableau pulled from the depths only through Ridge's frantic, desperate intervention. His hands, those same hands that had sculpted fashion empires and traced the contours of countless lovers, became instruments of salvation, pounding life back into her chest in a CPR-fueled symphony of terror and burgeoning, undeniable truth. The hospital vigil that followed was a silent cathedral where unspoken words hung heavier than any medical prognosis, where the specter of a world without Brooke Logan forced Ridge Forrester to stare into an abyss he found utterly intolerable. In that sterile room, amidst the beeping monitors and the scent of antiseptic, a profound, irrevocable shift occurred within him. The carefully constructed walls guarding his commitment to Taylor Hayes began to crumble, eroded by the tidal wave of realization that Brooke, the woman who had been his tempestuous North Star for decades, the one whose absence would render his existence a monochrome wasteland, had to be his future. His whispered vow to make this right, uttered over her fragile form, resonated with the weight of history, a history painfully mirrored in similar promises once made to Taylor, now casting long, accusatory shadows over his present turmoil. Brooke's return, therefore, is steeped in the potent cocktail of profound gratitude and rekindled, terrifying hope. She carries not just the physical memory of saltwater in her lungs, but the electric awareness of Ridge's desperate love laid bare in the moment she was wrested back from death. Her reunion with Hope Logan promises tears of relief and fierce maternal embraces, yet it will inevitably become a conduit for explosive revelations. Hope's updates on Liam Spencer's latest entanglements colliding with Brooke's own tumultuous narrative of Nick Marone's dangerous allure and, most earth-shatteringly, Ridge's life-saving heroism and the palpable, world-altering shift it has engendered between them. Meanwhile, Ridge Forrester strides back into the viper's nest of his own making, burdened by a bombshell he can no longer contain, a truth detonated by Brooke's brush with death. The promise made in Naples, born of adrenaline and existential terror, now demands payment in the harsh daylight of Los Angeles reality. His return to Taylor Hayes isn't a homecoming, it's a grim walk towards an execution, the execution of their engagement. The spoilers for August 13th depict not a confident suitor reclaiming his destiny, but a man already bowed by the Herculean emotional labor ahead. He approaches Taylor, perhaps in the elegant sterility of her office or the deceptive tranquility of their shared home, steeling himself to deliver the shattering news. He tries, genuinely tries, to articulate the inarticulable, how Brooke's near-death crystallized a love he cannot deny or live without, how the foundation of his commitment to Taylor, however sincere it once felt, has been irrevocably washed away by that traumatic event. But Taylor Hayes, the brilliant psychiatrist accustomed to dissecting the minds of others, becomes an impenetrable fortress against her own heartbreak. She refuses the narrative. She rejects the premise. To her, Ridge's epiphany isn't divine truth, it's a temporary insanity induced by trauma, a betrayal orchestrated by Brooke's perpetual victimhood and undeniable gravitational pull over him. Her refusal isn't passive, it's an active, aggressive defense mechanism, a preemptive strike against the annihilation of her envisioned future. She sees Ridge's confession not as honesty, but as weakness to be overcome, a challenge to her claim. The preview clip, showing Ridge hanging his head in defeat and frustration, is a masterclass in silent agony. It captures the moment he realizes logic, guilt, and even compassion are useless against the steel wall of Taylor's absolute refusal to accept the dissolution of their bond. His bombshell, intended to clear the air and pave the way for Brooke, instead lands on the bedrock of Taylor's indomitable will and detonates into a suffocating cloud of denial and manipulation. This is where Taylor Hayes, the poised healer, masterfully, chillingly, transforms into the architect of emotional blackmail. Cornered, facing the evaporation of her dream with Ridge, she deploys her formidable intellect and intimate knowledge of Ridge's psychology not for understanding, but for control. Her strategy is a calculated escalation, a multi-pronged assault on Ridge's conscience and inherent sense of duty. She weaponizes his own declaration, reminding him with icy precision of his past promises to her, twisting his commitment into chains. She employs devastating psychological framing. Brooke has a future, but it's not with you, Ridge. This statement is a scalpel, designed to inflict maximum damage. It simultaneously dismisses the depth and validity of Ridge and Brooke's connection as a destructive illusion and positions Ridge himself as Brooke's ultimate poison, implying that his presence in her life is inherently harmful, a narrative Taylor knows will resonate with Ridge's protective instincts and his history of perceived failures regarding Brooke. Her refusal to remove the engagement ring becomes a potent, silent symbol of her defiance, a constant, gleaming reminder of the commitment he's trying to renounce, physically anchoring him to a promise she insists he must honor. And then, the masterstroke, the move whispered in spoilers and feared by viewers, the the specter of broken heart syndrome. Taylor, the medical expert, understands the power of this diagnosis, its history within their own turbulent past. The potential for her to feign, or dangerously exacerbate, symptoms, sudden chest pain, breathlessness, collapse, is a terrifyingly plausible gambit. It's emotional blackmail distilled to its purest, most potent form. By invoking, or appearing to succumb to, this physically manifesting heartbreak, she transforms from the rejected fiancé into the fragile victim on the precipice of a medical crisis directly caused by Ridge's actions. It weaponizes his compassion, his fear of being responsible for her suffering or worse, his inherent need to fix and protect. It forces him into the role of caregiver, trapping him at her side through obligation and guilt, effectively paralyzing his ability to move towards Brooke. The threat, spoken or implied, hangs heavy: if you leave me for her, you might literally kill me. Is your happiness with Brooke worth my life? This isn't just manipulation, it's a siege laid against Ridge's soul, designed to break his resolve by appealing to his deepest fears and his sense of honor, however misplaced Taylor's interpretation of that honor may be. Thus, Ridge Forrester finds himself crucified on the twin crosses of desire and duty. Brooke Logan, radiant with life and the promise of a love revalidated by mortality, waits, her vulnerability and hope a palpable force. She expects him to honor the truth unearthed in Naples, to finally choose her unequivocally. Yet, Taylor Hayes, a fortress of denial wielding the devastating weapons of psychological warfare and the potential for physical collapse, holds him hostage through guilt, obligation, and the terrifying specter of catastrophic consequences. How can he possibly explain this suffocating limbo to Brooke? How does he articulate that choosing her might come at a price he fears is too high, Taylor's health, or even her life? How does he reconcile the blinding clarity found in Brooke's near death with the murky, guilt-ridden quagmire Taylor has engineered? The bridge reunion, seemingly inevitable after the trauma in Naples, is now shrouded in the toxic fog of Taylor's emotional blackmail. Ridge's bombshell, meant to liberate him, has instead ignited a slow-burning fuse on an even greater explosion. His journey back to Brooke is no longer a straight line, it's a treacherous minefield laid by the woman he once vowed to protect, forcing him to navigate a path where every step towards his heart's desire risks triggering an avalanche of guilt and potential tragedy. The homecoming from Naples wasn't an ending. It was merely the violent overture to a devastating new movement in the endless, operatic saga of the Forresters, Logans, and Hayes, a movement defined by Brooke's hard-won survival, Ridge's agonizing paralysis, and Taylor's desperate, dangerous refusal to surrender the ring, the man, and the life she believes is hers by right, no matter the cost to anyone, including herself. The battle lines are drawn not in boardrooms or bedrooms, but in the fractured landscape of the human heart, where love, guilt, and manipulation wage a war with potentially fatal consequences. Ridge Forrester and Taylor Hayes. With her mother, Steffi Forrester, conspicuously absent due to Jacqueline McInnes Wood's well-deserved maternity leave, Kelly's arrival during the week of August 11th to 15th, portrayed once again by Sofia Parras, shifts the generational dynamic significantly. Her presence, particularly interrupting a pivotal moment between Ridge and Taylor within the hallowed walls of the Forrester mansion, transforms her from a beloved granddaughter into an unwitting agent of emotional consequence, amplifying existing tensions and potentially delaying the inevitable explosion brewing within Ridge's conflicted heart. This homecoming isn't just about a child returning from travels with Steffi and Hayes Finnegan, it's about innocence colliding with adult complexity, legacy confronting present desire, and the potent power of a grandchild to temporarily shore up the crumbling foundations of a relationship built more on comfort and shared history than on Ridge's unreserved passion. The circumstances surrounding Kelly's early return are deliberately shrouded in plausible possibilities, perhaps the practicalities of preparing for a new school year necessitated it, or maybe a heartfelt desire to spend extra time with her father, Liam Spencer, following his recent harrowing medical ordeal, pulled her back. Finn's expressed longing for his absent family underscores the normalcy of Kelly being away, making her premature arrival feel narratively charged. However, the most significant clue lies in the specific context of her first scenes, interrupting Ridge and Taylor. This isn't a random encounter, it's a narrative fulcrum. Ridge and Taylor, basking in the tentative peace of their reunion, a peace largely predicated on Steffi's fervent support and the absence of Brooke Logan's immediate gravitational pull, are about to have a crucial moment disrupted. Whatever vulnerability, doubt, or difficult conversation was brewing between them is instantly deferred by the bright, demanding presence of their granddaughter. This deferral, however, is not neutral. It forces an immediate pivot, compelling Ridge and Taylor to shelve their adult complexities and step into their grandparental roles, a space where their united front feels natural, even comforting. In that forced unity, a potent illusion of stability is created, one that Kelly, radiating the simple joy of being home and seeing her grandma and grandpa together, will inevitably reflect back at them with unvarnished enthusiasm. This is where Kelly's return transcends mere interruption and becomes a powerful, albeit unintentional, form of emotional leverage, a grandparent trapping, if you will. With Steffi, the usual architect of Tridge advocacy and relentless cheerleader for her parents' union, thousands of miles away, the narrative baton subtly passes to the next generation. Kelly, blissfully unaware of the tectonic plates shifting beneath the surface of her grandparents' relationship, is primed to become their most potent champion. Imagine her innocent chatter, wide-eyed declarations about how happy she is to see Ridge and Taylor together, perhaps reminiscing about past family moments or, more pointedly, bubbling over with excitement about their impending wedding. Her earnest pleas to be the flower girl, her visions of a perfect family tableau with her grandparents at the center, these aren't manipulative ploys, they are the pure, unfiltered expressions of a child's desire for familial harmony and celebration. Yet, for Ridge Forrester, a man perpetually torn between the comforting, stable love Taylor represents and the tumultuous, undeniable passion he shares with Brooke, Kelly's innocent projections are emotional kryptonite. Each gleeful mention of the wedding, each expression of her happiness at their reunion, is a brick added to the wall of guilt rapidly building around him. How can he shatter this little girl's vision? How can he dismantle the family picture she's painting with such innocent certainty? Kelly's presence becomes a living, breathing embodiment of the consequences of his potential actions, consequences not just for Taylor, but for Steffi, for Thomas, and now, most viscerally, for this adoring granddaughter whose worldview includes grandma and grandpa as a unit. The narrative confirmation that Ridge will indeed delay his inevitable breakup with Taylor for a while longer finds its most compelling explanation in Kelly's return. Her presence creates a powerful pause button. The guilt she unknowingly amplifies, the idyllic family facade her joy reinforces, and the sheer logistical and emotional difficulty of navigating a seismic split with a vulnerable child present and invested, all combine to make immediate action feel impossible, even cruel. Ridge, for all his history of impulsive decisions, is not immune to the weight of grandfatherly responsibility. Seeing Taylor bask in Kelly's affection, witnessing the seamless way they function as grandparents together, reminds him of the deep bonds and shared history that do exist between them, bonds that Brooke, for all her hold on him, cannot replicate in this specific, generational context. Taylor, meanwhile, already sensitive to the precariousness of her renewed relationship, will undoubtedly draw strength and validation from Kelly's presence. The child's unwavering belief in their union becomes a shield against her own insecurities, a tangible reason to fight harder to keep Ridge anchored. Kelly's homecoming thus inadvertently gifts Taylor precious time to solidify her position, time to remind Ridge of the good they share, time to make the eventual rupture, when it finally comes, feel even more devastating because it will inevitably shatter the happy illusion Kelly helped construct. Therefore, Kelly Spencer's return is far more than a sweet cameo, it's a masterstroke of soap opera storytelling that weaponizes innocence against impending chaos. Her interruption halts a critical moment between Ridge and Taylor, forcing them into a performative unity. Her unbridled joy at their reunion and excitement for their future becomes a mirror reflecting Ridge's guilt back at him with blinding intensity. Her very presence embodies the collateral damage of his unresolved feelings for Brooke, damage he is, for now, unwilling to inflict directly upon his cherished granddaughter. By stepping into the void left by Steffi's absence, Kelly becomes the unexpected glue holding the fragile Tridge reunion together, delaying the inevitable explosion not through manipulation, but through the sheer, undeniable power of a grandchild's love and the potent family legacy she represents. Her homecoming ensures that when Ridge finally does confront his truth, the fallout won't just ripple through his marriage to Taylor, it will echo in the confused heart of a little girl who simply wanted her grandparents to be happy together, making the impending drama not just about adult passions, but about the shattering of a child's hopeful vision of family. Kelly's return is the calm before the storm, a poignant reminder of what's at stake, and the reason Ridge hesitates just long enough for the tension to reach an even more unbearable peak.